Hello, I'm Doug Bowles, president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're here at this bastion of speed and this place of technology for over a century to talk to you today, and not really about our history, but about how our history has led us to today and the Indy Autonomous Challenge. I'm excited to be here to talk to all of you, but I'm more excited about the folks that I get to be here with. Paul Mitchell, who's the president and CEO of Energy System Networks and the co-organizer of the Indy Autonomous Challenge. This event wouldn't happen without Paul. We also have Mark Miles, president and CEO of Penske Entertainment, the organization that owns the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the NTT IndyCar Series, the cars upon which the Indy Autonomous Challenge car has been based. We're also spending time today with Stefano DePonte. Stefano is the CEO and the general manager of Dallara USA, the type of car that the Indy Autonomous Challenge teams will be using when they're racing here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in October. But before we start, I think it's important to really talk about why the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I mentioned briefly that this place has been here for over a century. It started as a dream, really, by a guy named Carl Fisher, a guy who loved technology, a businessman here in Indianapolis, Indiana, when the automotive technology of the day was changing from the horseless or the horse-drawn carriage to the horseless carriage or the automobile. But there was no place to test that technology. So in 1909, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was built. The purpose of this facility was to test new technology. But it wasn't just cars that were tested in the early days. In fact, in 1909, it started with hot air balloon racing, and then motorcycle racing, and ultimately car racing. In 1910, the Wright brothers brought their airplanes here and flew at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and set altitude records with one of the best pilots of the day, Walter Brookins, going over 4,300 feet in a meet here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So even in our early days, the DNA of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was testing all different kinds of technologies, although over the last century, we've been known most for the Indianapolis 500. And the brave men and women, 33 of who start every Memorial Day Sunday here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on a 500-mile journey to cross our yard of bricks to be the first driver to win that. In October, there will be university students that will be doing the same thing. Those yard of bricks, part of our history, in 1909, 3.2 million bricks paved the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, thus the name the Brickyard. They will get to celebrate, just like those many race car drivers have done over the years, as they cross the yard of bricks to win the Indy Autonomous Challenge. But technology didn't end in the early 1900s here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. After World War II, when Tony Hallman bought the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it wasn't just about car technology. Firestone, who's been with us from the very, very beginning, has tested technology through their tires here that you today use in your vehicles when you drive around. And they do that every day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But as customers coming here, even some of the technology that we know today when we go in large stadiums, those are things that began here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Safety for our drivers that ultimately transfers to cars has happened here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Most recently, the NTT IndyCar Series came out with an aero screen that protects our open-wheel drivers from any objects that could fly into their cockpits. It was tested last year for the first time in competition and proved to be very, very successful. So here at the Speedway, we're always thinking about technology. And when we had an opportunity to partner with Dallara and Energy Systems Network on this amazing Indy Autonomous Challenge, we felt very honored that this facility, the history of this facility, and the DNA and the seeds that were planted in this facility in 1909, that just is just another step of the vision that Carl Fisher had 100 plus years ago. Last year, about this time, Roger Penske, who we all know as one of the automotive engineering minds of our time, one of the folks who has really helped us advance the automobile throughout from his racing, but also through his car dealerships around the world, purchased the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And one of the first conversations we got to have with Roger Penske was about the Indy Autonomous Challenge. So we started with Carl Fisher and his vision of the automobile and where it is. And today, our pioneer in the automotive industry, Roger Penske, is really excited to be part of the Indy Autonomous Challenge. With that, on behalf of everybody at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we're so thrilled to be part of this. We can't wait to see the best and brightest minds from universities around the world competing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I can't wait to see what October 2021 brings. I'm really privileged now to introduce to you Paul Mitchell, the CEO of Energy System Networks and the co-organizer of the Indy Autonomous Challenge, to tell you what this challenge is about, who's going to be competing in it, and why we're so excited about it.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you to the entire Indianapolis Motor Speedway team for partnering with us on this groundbreaking challenge. At Energy Systems Network, our focus is on building partnerships to accelerate technology commercialization and solve real-world problems. And that's exactly what the Indy Autonomous Challenge seeks to do. Harnessing the power of prize competitions to attract the best and brightest minds from around the world to further the state-of-the-art of safety and performance of automated vehicles. The response to this call to action has been remarkable, with 30 university teams signing up to compete. These teams represent top engineering programs from 14 U.S. states and 11 countries. And on October 23rd, here at the racing capital of the world, they will compete in a first-of-its-kind head-to-head race of fully autonomous vehicles. The winner will go home with $1 million prize, and the promise of autonomous mobility will have leaped forward forever. Let's learn more about the Indy Autonomous Challenge.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway was established over 110 years ago to test new technologies.
And now self-driving cars are the next grand challenge in automotive technology. But we're still a ways away from having the autonomous vehicle that can drive anywhere and everywhere. We knew that there was a major leap that had to be taken. What better way to do that than a high-speed race at the most famous racetrack in the world?
The Indy Autonomous Challenge, it's unlike any other challenge.
30 teams from around the world, 20 laps, $1 million grand prize.
Our cars here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway touch 240 miles an hour.
The minute that car is on the track, it has to control itself entirely.
It's racing, but in a futuristic way.
We've known for years that prize competitions can drive innovation.
Competitions are great places to do this because once you get competitive, you most likely will stop sleeping to make sure you win.
The DARPA Grand Challenge led to tremendous advancements in the industry. Sebastian Thrun, who won that DARPA Grand Challenge, said, you've got to create some type of autonomous vehicle competition that would bring back the excitement of the DARPA Grand Challenge. The real challenge is the software. How do you take the information that's coming in from these sensors, compute it, and make decisions that are typically made by a human? We had more than 30 teams coming from 14 US states and representing 11 countries sign up.
University students looked at this problem with fresh new eyes.
We are certain that the future of our racing is going to involve drivers and cars. But if we can go 240 miles an hour and keep cars from colliding, then surely we can make highway traffic safer.
It's all of these universities from around the world with the next generation of the brightest minds, and some of them are going to look back and say it started at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Indy Autonomous Challenge.
A challenge this bold requires world-class partners, sponsors, and contributors. We are grateful to the many companies who are providing equipment, software, and technical know-how to support this challenge. These companies, who are each leaders in their field, have been fully engaged with our university teams, serving as technical advisors and mentors as they prepare nearly 2 years for the race. Each stage of the competition increases in complexity and technical precision, from our current simulation rounds, which include hackathons and a full simulation race in May, to test runs and time trials with our autonomous race cars throughout the summer here at the Speedway, all culminating in a $1 million head-to-head race in October. Our sponsors are there every step of the way, providing the teams with cutting-edge technology that enables them to compete on a level that has never been attempted before. Our most dedicated partner that has helped us envision and bring this challenge to life is Penske Entertainment Corporation, owner of this magnificent speedway. I am honored to introduce Mark Miles, their president and CEO.
Thank you, Paul. As Doug mentioned, everyone at Penske Entertainment is delighted to be part of the Indy Autonomous Challenge, and I too want to thank Paul Mitchell and Matt for the phenomenal work they do every day at the Energy System Network, a great attribute of the city of Indianapolis and the state of Indiana. And really, this just doesn't happen without their vision and their ability to execute. This event has found a fitting host, we think, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, home to more than a century of motorsports innovation and the crown jewel of the NTT IndyCar Series, the Indianapolis 500-mile race. The NTT IndyCar Series is the most challenging and dynamic motorsports series on the planet. Our cars and drivers are known for pushing the limits of what's possible, especially at this venue. So we're very proud to support the Indy Autonomous Challenge and particularly excited to see many of our partners joining in this effort. I can't say enough about the partnership we have with Dallara, our friends from Northern Italy, who are also located here in Speedway, Indiana, who provide the car, the chassis, which makes IndyCar racing possible, and will do the same for the Indy Autonomous Challenge. And at Bridgestone, Firestone brand is the official tire supplier of both IndyCar and the Indy 500. They are not only suppliers of tires for us, but we've learned to think of Firestone and Bridgestone as a technology company. At IndyCar, we believe the future lies in connectivity and data, both empowering competition and the fan experience. And the IAC's approach is very similar. Competition and connectivity, empowering data and discovery. And while race car drivers are absolutely fundamental to our sport and always will be, we expect the IAC's intense competition to provide valuable data and information that helps us improve our series and maintain our edge. We're thrilled that more than 500 of the best and brightest students from around the world will be contributing to this effort, and we hope over time to see some of them find their way into the IndyCar series. They make this competition world-class, and they allow us to showcase the ability of IMS and the state of Indiana to take the spotlight on the global stage. The IAC represents a groundbreaking step forward in autonomous vehicle industry. And like most things, it's a product of brilliant, creative minds and problem solvers. The IAC traces its history and guiding principles back to the early days of autonomous vehicle development. That's why we couldn't make today's announcement without hearing from Sebastian Thrun. Sebastian is not only a world-renowned expert in artificial intelligence, but also winner of the DARPA Grand Challenge in 2005, a groundbreaking autonomous vehicle competition that serves as the inspiration for this IAC. The cars went 5 miles per hour at that race, a far cry from the 240 miles per hour speeds that we approach here on this very track in the Indy 500. 15 years after the DARPA Grand Challenge, the world is ready for another autonomous vehicle competition. And a real race this time. At high speeds, the greatest racetrack in the world is the ideal way to spark the next generation of innovations that will drive the future. So with that background, let's check in with Sebastian Thrun himself.
Thank you, Mark, for your very kind introduction. I'm looking forward to being at the event. I'm a technologist. I really love what we accomplished in humanity in the last hundreds of years, and I'm super excited to see it move even faster. Around 2003, the Department of Defense's DARPA launched a challenge to the robotics community called the DARPA Grand Challenge. And the subject of the challenge was to build a car that could drive itself, not on public roads like we see it today, but in an empty desert. About 196 teams competed to drive a car 140 miles without a person inside, and 5 teams completed the race within the allotted time. That was a kind of a feast back in the day. What the DARPA Grand Challenge documented in 2005 and the Urban Challenge in 2007 was that robots could drive themselves in very confined environments. And still today, we don't have the agility and skill of a really trained human race driver. What humans can do in extreme situations is so much stronger than what self-driving cars can do. There's a huge gap. I think the Indy 500 is probably the best place in the world to challenge the robotics community to build self-driving cars. Should be challenged to drive as safely as human race drivers. So by going into a racing context, we are stretching self-driving cars to the absolute limit. These robots, so they have to have an intelligence that lets them predict in advance what's going to happen. It gets even more intense when robots race in the same race, because now you have to not just worry about your own dynamics, but you have to worry what others are doing. And that has to be done in real time, really fast, with an enormous competency. I believe this kind of a race is a new challenge for the self-driving car community. I have not seen a self-driving car that would be able to race something like the Indy 500. The reason to compete in the Indy Autonomous Challenge is to be part of the next generation of self-driving car experts. And competitions are great places to do this, because once you get competitive, you most likely will stop sleeping and work weekends to make sure you win. And winning, you should. How much fun is that?
Before we get to unveiling our amazing autonomous race car, I'd like to take a moment to celebrate the more than 500 students, faculty, and researchers from universities around the world who are working tirelessly to build the AI that will drive this first-of-its-kind race car. These brilliant minds will serve as the talent base powering the autonomous technology industry for years to come. And it is their commitment to innovation, even working and collaborating virtually through a global pandemic, that has kept the Indy Autonomous Challenge going strong. To help me showcase the teams, let me introduce Matt Peak, Managing Director at Energy Systems Network, who has been instrumental in organizing and leading teams through the challenge.
The Indy Autonomous Challenge is a head-to-head high-speed race of fully autonomous vehicles at the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The talent that's showing up is just unparalleled.
When we saw this opportunity come up, that just seemed like a great opportunity to get involved. I've done slower vehicles, probably 20, 25 miles an hour, and to go at speeds of like 200 miles an hour seemed like a really interesting opportunity to do something that hadn't been done before.
Motorsports really brings out these strong edge cases that you see for driverless vehicles.
You're traveling at such a fast rate that a lot of your sensors, by the time you get a new update, you're already multiple meters ahead, and so your algorithms have to keep up. My name is Nayana Suvarna. I'm currently a senior undergraduate computer engineering student from the University of Pittsburgh, and I know that women are often underrepresented in the robotics as well as STEM field. So I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to be in this position where I can lead a team.
This truly is a global competition that brings together some of the brightest AI minds from around the world.
In Italy, racing is something which is really a classical heritage of our culture. It's in our DNA. Competition and racing is a very simple and undisputable way of assessing the quality of what you're doing.
Having 10, 15 cars on the track simultaneously creates a ridiculously complex scenario. We are the sole German team entering the competition. There are no lanes, there are no real rules, and you really have to understand what the other people are going to do.
When we're designing our software, we're really trying to mimic the way that a human race driver would be driving the car. All these teams are really talented, and so to be able to beat them, you can't do it casually. You have to really give it everything.
In motorsport racing, there is a saying that if everything seems under control, you are not going fast enough. Traveling at such great speeds, you don't have the luxury of time to figure things out. Right? By the time you figure things out, you're already there.
The more risky vehicle may just win, but the more risky vehicle may also be the one that crashes on turn one. We really don't want to mess this vehicle up, and so that's why safety has been one of the biggest things we've been striving for. I imagine a lot of tech will come out of the Indy Autonomous Challenge for sort of high-speed maneuvering for safety reasons.
We're also very fortunate to have Clemson University's International Center for Automotive Research.
So it was a natural fit for Deep Orange to take on the project of designing the common vehicle that would be used for the Indy Autonomous Challenge.
It's that traditional open-wheel race car format that fans are used to seeing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It screams when it's going all out at 200 miles per hour. The performance is going to be intense and the competition is going to be fierce.
If you're going to hold a race at the world's most famous track, you need the best race car designer in the world. Dallara has a rich history of developing race cars for nearly every series, including the NTT IndyCar series. But developing a driverless car for the Indy Autonomous Challenge was certainly a unique undertaking. They have been up to the task, working from day one in close collaboration with our vehicle engineering partners at Clemson University's International Center for Automotive Research. Here to tell you more about Dallara and to unveil the autonomous race car is Stefano De Ponte, CEO and General Manager of Dallara USA.
Thank you, Paul, for the opportunity. Thank you to you and your ESN group to have Dallara to be part for this innovative challenge. Thank you, Mark and Doug and everyone at Penske Entertainment Corporation for having me here today with you to unveil the car for the Autonomous Challenge. I'm Stefano De Ponte, CEO and General Manager of Dallara LLC, the US headquarters and the only facility outside Italy. Gianpaolo Dallara founded the company in the early 70s after he worked with Ferrari, Maserati, and Lamborghini. In simple terms, we like to call ourselves an engineering company, where we are very active in the automotive world, working with the major OEMs and the major racing series in the world. We supply here in the United States, we design and supply chassis for the IndyCar series, Indy Light series, and IMSA, and we have also an important technical partnership with NASCAR. Upon expansion of our operation into our Speedway facility, which is just a block down of us, we are working diligently on prepare for our next racing seasons, including preparing the delivery of the first autonomous vehicle chassis here within the next month or so. In addition, in our facility, we also have expanded on our engineering and manufacturing skill to work with aerospace and defense companies. As an engineering company, we love innovation and technology, and of course, all the challenges relating to these new projects and what they bring. Surely, the IAC as itself represents for us a great engineering challenge. Firstly, because we're facing new technologies with autonomous vehicles, with no drivers in the loop, no development, and no training. And secondly, because we have a great team working with one and another to achieve something special. We are welcoming this new challenge and looking forward to work with all our partners involved for a successful outcome that will surely positively affect into the public transportation environment. Here is our founder, Gianpaolo Dallara, to tell you more about it.
Good morning. I am Gianpaolo Dallara, founder and president of Dallara, and I am very proud to join you today from my office in Varano de Melegari, Italy, to be part of the official unveiling of our new Dallara race car, designed for the Indy Autonomous Challenge. I have been racing in all my life, first with Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Maserati, and Formula One. Founded Dallara in '72, 49 years ago. Today we will see our Dallara chassis engineered into an amazing autonomous car to be driven by university students worldwide, including 2 teams here in Italy. The Indy Autonomous Challenge combines my passion for education, innovation, and motorsport. In the past, we did many cars with reciprocating engines. Then we worked strongly in the Formula E project. Now we are very happy to be part of this new project of autonomous car that will be probably something normal in the future of mobility. I wish you good success with the new car and also Happy New Year.
Dallara is thrilled and very excited to give our technical support with the cars and the engineering contribution to this challenge. We, as an engineering company, are very much motivated to be involved where the academic and scientific world can be helped. The IAC is the perfect merge between industries and universities to deliver an amazing event in the racing capital of the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Here, in this project, the university, where coming from all over the world, will be like drivers. for these autonomous vehicles. And together with all the other partners, like all the drivers that are competing in the Speedway, they need to show their bravery. Because this is a unique project here, from the technical and engineering point of view, the unknown elements outnumbers the known and the knowledge elements, and skill for autonomous racing. So bravery as well as know-how are the two elements that will make a team a winner. Thank you for such an opportunity. And I'm proud now to introduce the Dallara autonomous race car for the Indy Autonomous Challenge.